Welcome to Tech Leaders Today with your host, Cassie Crossley. All comments, views, and opinions expressed on this show are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers. Now here's Cassie Crossley.
Hi, everyone. On the Tech Leaders Today podcast, I have with me Angel Soria. Angel is a digital marketing expert and social author with an extensive background in social media, activation, ad inventory, sales, account management, and public speaking. I've known Angel for a couple years. We went to California State University, Fresno, for our executive MBA. Thank you for joining me today, Angel.
You got it. Thank you so much for having me, Cassie.
You're welcome. I wanted to talk with you today because tech leaders around the world, especially those in professions like mine, are, let's just say, somewhat naive and maybe inexperienced when it comes to social marketing. Until I did the podcast and started all of that up, I really only pursued LinkedIn because I've had an account on there for a decade, or I might have been on Facebook for personal reasons. And I never really understood what the marketing side did, but yet they are stakeholders of mine in the enterprise and medium business market where I'm working with sales and marketing and all sorts of internal customers. And I really don't understand everything that they go to because I know it's more than just a Twitter account. So I'm so glad that you joined me today so we could understand from the internal customer point of view what your needs are in the technology space. So thank you again.
Absolutely. I'm happy to help share a little insight and hopefully clear the water for some people.
Tell me more about what you do. There's so many different avenues. Do all digital marketing people do the same thing? Do they specialize? Tell us more about it.
Yeah, this is a great question. And, sometimes this answer will vary based on who it is that you speak with. There are different areas and facets of digital marketing. My experience is pretty broad and extensive. I've had the pleasure of actually selling digital products. So I understand the psychology of the sale, the prospecting, needs analysis, pitching, closing, follow-up, building up the pipeline. And then I've also trained a print sales staff how to sell digital products. So not only have I been out in the trenches meeting and exceeding my revenue goals and objectives, I've also trained a print team of 10 to sell digital products. And on that team, we hit our annual digital goal in a little less than 3 months. So that was amazing and pretty rewarding to see that growth. And that confidence built in that print team. In addition to the sales side, I've given numerous workshops and classes and conferences on educating business owners, students, and entrepreneurs on the significance of digital media and social media. I've also been in the account management side of things, which is basically the primary point of contact from the point of onboarding a new client, making sure that we have all the assets that are needed to be able to begin pushing their campaigns into fulfillment, working with different fulfillment teams. In the account management side, I've managed PPC campaigns or pay-per-click, which is basically Google AdWords campaign, Bing or Yahoo. And just to kind of give a quick little insight more on the PPC side, if you do a Google search and if you see some ads at the very top, generally they're marked with a little tab that does say ad. That's a pay-per-click ad. And then below that, anything that isn't listed, usually within the top 3 to 4 spots, is SEO and the more organic side of things. So as an account manager, I facilitated with both of those, PPC and SEO, search engine optimization, social media management, website development and website management, retargeting, email marketing, reputation management. And I'm sure there's a few more things that I'm missing, but you can kind of see that there's so many different areas of digital in terms of product. And then, the speaking side, I've had a monthly column, I've written several blogs, and then I've also been able to actually work closely on the partner side with, big organizations to make sure that partners have a very strong strategy. And if they don't have a strategy, then I help them with that. That way we can be able to execute based on what their needs and objectives are on the social side and on the digital side. As a segue into that, then I've also managed digital ads, banner ads, pre-roll, and things of that nature. And a big component of that as well was digital activation and social activation. So that's a pretty extensive background, at least from, my experience and what I have. Now, to one of your questions, you had asked if there were a lot of specialists. So generally, oftentimes, there are specific specialists for a specific area. So for example, if you have a content team, then you have your content writers and your SEO specialist. And, it just kind of depends on how big of an organization people have to be able to facilitate the huge fulfillment group. But if it's kind of a smaller group, then, you have people who are a little more well-seasoned and well-versed to be able to juggle multiple different campaigns by themselves as well.
I think I know that there are freelancers, agencies, people that do this inside of corporations. Can you tell me the different paths or the different groups that somebody might end up working with?
Absolutely. And you were right. Some people do freelance. Actually, when you and I were getting our MBA at Fresno State, I had my own consulting business at the time, internet marketing consulting or digital marketing consulting. So I was hired on by different businesses and organizations locally to come in and help them build their presence online and educate them and provide training to make sure that they could succeed with their campaigns. And then in building that business, then I was recruited onto the corporate side of things. I've seen both worlds. And actually, I unfortunately was recently laid off. So I'm currently looking for work, whether that be with a corporate or with some freelance.
Are you looking to reach technology leaders? Hosting a podcast does have some costs involved. I'm searching for sponsors on this weekly podcast to simply pay for the hosting, editing, and marketing associated with this great podcast. If you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, please contact me through Twitter or my website, and soon you'll be reaching technology leaders around the world. With the corporate side, let's just say it's a company of 100 people or more. Usually they have somebody that does this type of work, but what kind of tools do they need? So let's ignore the fact that they need accounts for a moment, because I have a different question on accounts. So what kind of tools have you seen both in the smaller, medium business and our large corporations different on how they manage? I don't really understand all the technology behind the scenes that marketers may need.
So yeah, Cassie, that's a great question. Oftentimes on the corporate side, it really just depends on, how big the corporation is that you're working with or what type of budgets you have within your department. There's been a couple platforms that I've seen on both sides, both the corporate and the freelance or, independent consulting side, which would be social media management tools. Those seem to be pretty consistent in both areas. These social media management tools, for example, could be a TweetDeck or Hootsuite. Basically, you plug in multiple social profiles and you're able to monitor. It's like a reputation management dashboard is basically the best way to think about it. TweetDeck specifically is for Twitter, and you are able to basically monitor everything that people are saying about your brand, whether it be mentions or hashtags. And you can kind of fine tune the dashboard to populate certain mentions or data for you. And then you can also pull analytics from that, which is really cool. You can also schedule things in advance. And same thing with Hootsuite, just a couple different platforms that you can incorporate as well, like with your Facebook page or Twitter. You can also program LinkedIn in there. So that's one interface that I've seen across on both sides. And then, from the corporate varying to more of like the independent consulting side, generally with a corporate, you have a little bit more money and more backing to have a little bit more enhanced reporting methodologies. Whereas on the independent side, it's a little more manual. However, Also, on the corporation side, there are times that things are very manual as well with reporting.
I was going to ask about analytics and reporting. So tell me about that, because not just on your website, but also on your social media. What's out there for that? What do you usually use?
Basically, for social, if you have a Facebook business page or a business profile, then anybody who has admin access to the fan page or the business page has access to the admin panel. And within that, you can go back to a post that you posted a month ago or 2 months ago, and you can pull the data, impressions, which is basically the number of times that someone saw the post, the number of likes, the number of comments. You can also pull reports and spreadsheets directly from Facebook. So if there's a certain window that you're looking to run, you can pull data and pull reports from there. And then, you can choose what type of file, but traditionally I would use an Excel file and then, go into the Excel file and cater that way. Same thing with Twitter. Based on back-end analytics, as long as you have the login information to an account, then you can pull analytics as well. The cool thing about Twitter is even on a personal profile, you can still look at back-end analytics, which is really cool. Whereas Facebook, if you have a personal page, you cannot see analytics, at least not as far as I'm aware of. However, only on the business side. Instagram as well. On the business side, Instagram recently launched a little more deep dive on analytics for business profiles, which is really cool. Instagram is moving in a great direction in providing that type of data for businesses to use, because it's a great way to monitor and measure what works and what doesn't work. That's just a little bit on the analytics side for social. And then, there's website analytics. Typically, Google Analytics is used. I also have familiarity with Adobe Omniture, which is just a different type of analytics that pulls from a different content management system. So some content management systems, it's best to use different analytic interfaces as well, based on functionality.
And LinkedIn, you can also get the analytics from LinkedIn. I know business to business, a lot of posts and content are put on there.
On the business side of things, you are able to do LinkedIn ads. I have had some familiarity and some practice with that as well on the account management side. And you are able to pull analytics from LinkedIn paid ads. Yes.
You had mentioned accounts, and that was one of the questions. You hear about people who accidentally tweet personal things on corporate accounts. You hear that people leave companies and they don't know how to get to the accounts. What is best practice for that? How do you control those type of situations?
You're very spot on, because things like this really do happen more often than not. There have been times that I have seen, when you're managing multiple accounts, it's really easy to send out a tweet and think you're sending it from your personal account, but you're actually sending it out from a brand. So you have to be really cognizant and real cautious. I just always got into a habit of rereading everything that I post multiple times as it is, just for proofreading purposes, but just to make sure, okay, am I logged into my account instead of, a brand account? In the digital space, everything moves really, really quickly, especially with all the real-time information that we have to get out there in, the shortest amount of time. But as fast as we need to get things out there, it's best to just kind of take a couple steps back and slow down for a little bit to make sure that you avoid situations like that, because we don't want anything going out onto a brand's account that you should be tweeting to your friends. And then on the other side too, there have been many, many instances, especially in my consulting days, where I'm helping local businesses who someone else had previously set up some account and they couldn't remember the login. Oftentimes there are prompts when you go onto the main page, whether it be desktop or mobile or tablet, to log into a social account. And there's oftentimes a link that you can click on, forgot your password or forgot your login, and that will prompt you through. If you don't have any of that information, because I've seen that happen before as well, then what I recommend doing is reaching out directly to the support team of that specific social channel. Direct mailing or sending them a DM, direct message works really, really well also, just to kind of get some back-end support as well. They will need, obviously, security questions that you'll have to answer, but that's just standard protocol as well.
So the rumors are true on that.
Yes.
Wow, that's some interesting stuff. I can certainly imagine that there's risk involved and you really need to trust who you have doing that. I hope people check and make sure that they are aware of exactly what accounts they're on and that they keep records so that in case something happens, other people can access the social media in case of an emergency. Before we finish out, I wanted to see what is the best way for people to contact you, because you being the social media wizard, I really like to talk about strategy. So people might want to contact you because it's more than just typing in a tweet nowadays. You really have to understand the business.
Okay, thanks, Cassie. People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Talk2Angel Soria. That's with the number 2. My last name is spelled S as in Sam, Oria. People can also reach me via email. My email address is, again, talk2angelsoria@gmail.com. They can find me on my website, yourdigitalangel.com. People can also find me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/Angel Soria. I look forward to connecting with everyone.
Well, I'm sure that folks will definitely want to learn more about digital marketing, and this really is a field that technology leaders need to understand and grow more in this arena, because to really build businesses, you have to be connected through social. So thanks again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Cassie.
I want to thank you so much for listening today. If you love this podcast, please do share it with your friends and colleagues, and please leave a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, because it makes a difference for circulation. For the show notes and other great info, enter your email into the mailing list at techleaderstoday.com. Thank you.